विद्महे दैवी स्वस्तिरस्तु नः स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वञ्जिगातु भेषजम् शन्नो अस्तु द्विपदे शञ्चतुष्पदे ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।
ॐ श्री भगवान् सत्य साई बाबाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सत्य स्वरूपाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सत्य धर्म परायणाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई वरदाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सत्पुरुषाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सत्यगुणात्मने नमः। ॐ श्री साई साधुवर्धनाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई साधुजनपोषणाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वज्ञाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वजनप्रियाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वशक्तिमूर्तये नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वसङ्गपरित्यागिने नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वान्तर्यामिने नमः। ॐ श्री साई महिमात्मने नमः। ॐ श्री साई महेश्वर स्वरूपाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई पत्तिग्रामोद्भवाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई पत्तिक्षेत्र निवासिने नमः। ॐ श्री साई यशक्काय शिरडिवासिने नमः। ॐ श्री साई जोडि आदिपल्लि सोमप्पाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई भारद्वाज ऋषिगोत्राय नमः। ॐ श्री साई भक्तवत्सलाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई अपान्तरात्मने नमः। ॐ श्री साई अवतारमूर्तये नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वभयनिवारिणे नमः। ॐ श्री साई आपस्तम्भसूत्राय नमः। ॐ श्री साई अभयप्रदाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई रत्नाकरवंशोद्भवाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई शिरडि साई अभेदशक्त्यावताराय नमः। ॐ श्री साई शङ्कराय नमः। ॐ श्री साई शिरडि साई मूर्तये नमः। ॐ श्री साई द्वारकामाई वासिने नमः। ॐ श्री साई चित्रावती तटपुट्टपत्ति विहारिणे नमः। ॐ श्री साई शक्तिप्रदाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई शरणागतत्राणाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई आनन्दाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई आनन्ददाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई आतत्राणपरायणाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई अनाथनाथाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई असहाय सहायाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई लोकबान्धवाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई लोकरक्षापरायणाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई लोकनाथाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई दीनजनपोषणाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई मूर्तित्रयस्वरूपाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई मुक्तिप्रदाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई कलुषविदूराय नमः। ॐ श्री साई करुणाकराय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वाधाराय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वभृद्वासिने नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वपुण्यफलप्रदाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वपापक्षयकराय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वरोगनिवारिणे नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वबाधहराय नमः। ॐ श्री साई अनन्तनुतकर्तृणे नमः। ॐ श्री साई आदिपुरुषाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई आदिशक्तये नमः। ॐ श्री साई अपरूपशक्तिने नमः। ॐ श्री साई अव्यक्तरूपिणे नमः। ॐ श्री साई कामक्रोधध्वंसिने नमः। ॐ श्री साई कनकाम्बरधारिणे नमः। ॐ श्री साई अद्भुतचर्याय नमः। ॐ श्री साई आपद्बान्धवाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई प्रेमात्मने नमः। ॐ श्री साई प्रेममूर्तये नमः। ॐ श्री साई प्रेमप्रदाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई प्रियाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई भक्तप्रियाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई भक्तमन्दाराय नमः। ॐ श्री साई भक्तजनहृदयविहाराय नमः। ॐ श्री साई भक्तजनहृदयालयाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई भक्तपराधीनाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई भक्तिज्ञानप्रदीपाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई भक्तिज्ञानप्रदाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सुज्ञानमार्गदर्शकाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई ज्ञानस्वरूपाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई गीताबोधकाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई ज्ञानसिद्धिदाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सुन्दररूपाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई पुण्यपुरुषाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई फलप्रदाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई पुराणपुरुषाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई अतीताय नमः। ॐ श्री साई कालातीताय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सिद्धिरूपाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सिद्धसङ्कल्पाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई आरोग्यप्रदाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई अन्नवस्त्रदाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई संसारदुःखक्षयकराय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वाभीष्टप्रदाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई कल्याणगुणाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई कर्मध्वंसिने नमः। ॐ श्री साई साधुमानसशोभिताय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वमतसम्मताय नमः। ॐ श्री साई साधुमानसपरिशोधकाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई साधकानुग्रहवटवृक्षप्रतिष्ठापकाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सकलसंशयहराय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सकलतत्त्वबोधकाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई योगीश्वराय नमः। ॐ श्री साई योगीन्द्रवन्दिताय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वमङ्गलकराय नमः। ॐ श्री साई सर्वसिद्धिप्रदाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई आपन्निवारिणे नमः। ॐ श्री साई आर्तिहराय नमः। ॐ श्री साई शान्तमूर्तये नमः। ॐ श्री साई सुलभप्रसन्नाय नमः। ॐ श्री साई भगवान् श्री सत्यसाई बाबाय नमः।
स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Kodi pranams at the lotus feet of our dear Swami. Om Shri Sai Ram, dear brothers and sisters, and Jai Shri Ram, dear all. Ram Navami is celebrated to mark the birth of Lord Rama in Treta Yuga. We also welcome the spring by celebrating the first month in our lunar calendar. To commemorate this auspicious day, we have a talk by Brother Sitaram Bihar. Brother Sitaram has been blessed to have completed his education in Swami's fold. He attended Sri Satya Sai Vidya Vihar for his primary education up to grade 10 and graduated from Balavikas program while in Visakhapatnam, India. Then he went on to attend Sri Satya Sai Higher Secondary School in Prashantinilayam for grade 11 and grade 12. Brother pursued his post-secondary education in Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning in Prashantinilayam, where he obtained his bachelor's in chemistry, master's in chemistry, master's in business administration. Currently, Brother Sitaram serves as one of our Narayana Seva coordinators for Sri Satya Sai Baba Center of Scarborough and a National Veda coordinator for SSGC Canada. Please give a big round of applause to welcome Brother Sitaram to the podium.
చక్కెర కంటే తీపి చక్కెర కంటే తీపి దధి సారము కంటే రుచ్యమౌ పెంపెక్కిన తేనె కన్న అతి రుచ్యము నోటను పల్క పల్కగా అమృతమే అనిపించునుగానా నిత్యము ఈ చక్కని దాని స్మరింపుడు ఓ మనసా నిత్యము రామనామము నిత్యము స్మరింపుడు నిత్యము స్మరింపుడు. Sweeter than the sugar, tastier than the best of curds, much sweeter than the honey of the highest concentrations. It tastes sweeter and sweeter as we chant it again and again and again. What is it? O mind, chant the name of Rama with love and faith. Chant the name of Rama with love and faith. Om Shri Sai Ram, offering my most loving pranams to our sweet Lord Sai Rama. I wish everyone seated here loving greetings on this auspicious occasion of Sri Ram Navami. At the outset, I will be using small Telugu poems, small Telugu lines or Sanskrit verses, but I will be translating them after that. I know most of us may not know Telugu, but I will translate it to the best of my knowledge. Speaking about Rama, since it is an impossible task, as we all know, to drink the entire ocean in one gulp, it is equally futile to speak about Ramayana in just 20 to 30 minutes. However, it is also important to note that to taste the ocean, we need not drink the entire ocean itself. One drop of it is enough, isn't it? Just like that, we will try to touch upon few aspects in Ramayana to understand the points that Swami has emphasized again and again for our devotees. Just like every wave carries the essence of ocean, even every kanda in Ramayana carries the essence of Ramayana. And hence, Shvetashvatara Upanishad has declared, Shrinvant Vishve Amritasya Putra. Shrinvant Vishve Amritasya Putra. Which means, listen, O all, We are all but the children of immortality. That Atma Rama, that ocean, and we are just the waves upon the surface of the ocean. With that caveat, let us dwell upon a few questions that I had when I was told about this talk. I'll try to go through those questions as my flag posts throughout this talk so that I do not miss the direction in this vast ocean. So the questions are, so these are the 5 questions I had when I was preparing for this talk. The first one is, as Sister Darshini mentioned about the significance of Ram Navami in the worldly sense. What does it actually mean? And how is it celebrated across the world? That's the first question at a very surface level. Then we'll dive a little deeper to understand the second question, the inner significance of Ramayana. How did Swami explain Ramayana? What does Rama mean itself, right? We need to understand that on this particular day, at least on this particular day. And the third question is, if Ramayana happened thousands of years ago, how did it spread so much? If you just think about the Treta Yuga, they never had social platforms like how we have today. Facebook, Google, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, right? These days, news is spreading very fast. But how did Ramayana that has happened ages ago in Treta Yuga, thousands of years ago, is still living today? How is it relevant today? Is some questions I wanted to ponder upon during this talk. And the last question is, what did I take away from this learning? What did Swami tell about this learning? What did Swami explain that, which is the easiest lesson that we can take away from Ramayana? And in the end, I'll also relate one personal experience, which was very insignificant at that point of time, back in 2000, but became more significant as I went through this study. Moving to the first question. What is Sri Ram Navami? What is its significance? As it was mentioned in the introduction, Sri Ram Navami is celebrated on Shukla Paksha Navami in Chaitra Masa, the first month of the year. Vasanta Ritu, as we call spring in English. It's a sign of life. It's a sign of life in all our lives. The festival is but a celebration of birth of Sri Rama, one of the Dashavatars of Lord Vishnu, born to the king Dasharatha and mother Kaushalya on this day. On this day, it is also known that Sita Rama Kalyanam is very famous. On this day, the marriage ceremony of Sita Rama Kalyanam is celebrated across world, especially in India, like places like Ayodhya and Bhadrachalam. This ceremony signifies the union of Prakriti, which is Sita, and Purusha, the Rama. Traditionally, devotees also celebrate this day with special prasadam, right? Without prasadam, no festival ends. The prasadam, which is loved by Rama also, is what scriptures say. There are 2 prasadams which are generally celebrated on this day. They are, one is Panakam. I am not sure what it is called in other languages, but in Telugu it is called Panakam. It is made with jaggery, water, and some spices along with it. It has a very distinct taste. And the second prasadam is called Vadapappu, which is made with moong lentils on this day. Now that we know why we are celebrating Sri Ram Navami at a very surface level, let us move to the second question. What is Ramayana? Who is this Ramayana? Why is Ramayana emphasized so much?
There are various exponents and authors who have told about Ramayana. But who else can tell us better than Rama himself in Satisai Avatar? We have the greatest privilege to get the knowledge from Satisai directly to Rama the Dasara. Once, in the year 2007, in Kodaikanal, it was hot summer, and students were sitting around Swami in Kodaikanal size.
Trying to keep it as steady as I can.
Kodaikanal has a very special place in Swami's heart. It is a treasure house of various creations.
Boys, whom do you think are the 5 nearest and dearest devotees of Lord Rama? Interesting question, right? It is like asking, which is my favorite dish among this audience? Only Rama can tell about his own favorite devotees. How can boys around him tell that? However, boys tried to give answers. They listed out all the characters in Ramayana. One boy said, Swami, it is Mother Sita. She is the closest to you. Swami, it is Bharata. Swami, it is Vibhishana. Swami, maybe it is Sugriva. Swami, it should be Hanuman, nobody else. Right? So on and so forth. When they listed all the devotees, there was silence prevailing at the end because Swami has not told yes to any of their answers. Then slowly Swami revealed, telling, these are my 5 favorite devotees, nearest and dearest devotees. 1. Kausalya Supraja Rama, Mother Kausalya. 2. Vaidehi Priya Rama, Mother Sita. 3. Ahalyodharaka Rama, the one woman who has been emancipated by the touch of Lord Rama's feet. Hanumat Sevita Rama, Lord Hanuman, the greatest devotee of Rama, is the 4th favorite of Swami. And the last one is Bharatagraja Rama, Bharata, the younger brother of Rama. These are the 5 favorites of mine, Swami said. He went on to mention that each of them exemplified supreme devotion and faith in Rama. In Ramayana, the essence is nothing but the love and faith that every character has for Rama. Without love and faith, it is lifeless. This is what Swami wanted to say about Ramayana and his favorite 5 devotees. Now just imagine how wonderful it would be after, this is Kali Yuga, after 2 to 3 yugas, Satyasai avatar takes up another avatar. The Lord takes another avatar, like how Rama took Satyasai avatar in Kali Yuga from Treta Yuga, and asks his devotees sitting around him, maybe in Scarborough Center, who are my favorite devotees? Who are my 5 nearest and dearest favorite devotees? And how wonderful it would be if our names are mentioned by Lord himself. Just like the 5 mentioned devotees have made their way to Lord Rama's heart, what is the way for us to make our way into Swami's heart? Right? So these are some of the questions I was getting when preparing to this particular talk. Ramayana helps us achieve that. Swami explains beautifully that Ramayana is a proof that God assumes the form of whichever the devotee prays for. The Nama takes the Rupa. Without Nama, there is no Rupa. So Nama is more powerful than Rupa. So to prove this point, Swami beautifully explains with the example of Mother Shabari. Let's take the example of Shabari and try to understand how she has made her way to the heart of Rama. Mother Shabari has never seen Rama from her childhood. As I mentioned earlier, there were no video calls or televisions at that point of time. How could she even have a chance of looking at Rama from a very far distance? One great quality that she had right from her birth was a very tender, compassionate heart, is what Swami says. Excuse me. Swami says, her tender, compassionate heart, the Hridaya, is one of her foremost qualities that Rama loved. When her parents, so there is a little story behind how Shabari came to meet Rama. When her parents arranged for her marriage with a man of their tribe, they belonged to a tribal region in India, and it was customary for Adivasis who lived in jungles to sacrifice a goat before the marriage ceremony. When Shabari came to know about this sacrifice that needs to be done for her marriage, she wept uncontrollably in front of her parents and tried convincing them to get away from this practice. They did not get convinced. In the end, what happened was Shabari ran away from her house and gave up marriage so that the sacrificial goat is saved. At this point of time, she practiced ahimsa, one of the 5 human values that Swami has mentioned again and again. She ran away into the forests. She did not have anyone to save her. After a certain longing, she found a very eminent sage called Matangi. Matangi Muni has given refuge to her in his hermitage. During that time, sage Matanga Muni, while doing his tapas, he also found that God has come in human form as Rama and will be visiting all the forests to ensure his mission for his life is accomplished. That is, Shishta Rakshana and Dushta Sikshana. Protection of the righteous and punishing the demons. Hearing this, it changed the life of Shabari. This was the moment when Shabari changed the entire direction of her life. From that point of time, it was nothing else other than Rama for Shabari. Whatever she taught, it was Rama. Whatever she spoke, it was of Rama. Whatever she did, it was for service of Rama. It was Rama, Rama, Rama. Just like how Bhadrachala Ramadas sings, Anta Ramamayam, she became Anta Ramamayam. She became everything is Rama for her. Few of the things that she used to do every day in and day out were, she used to clear the path for Rama, imagining that Rama, Sita and Lakshmana would be coming that way. She would be clearing the entire path every day. Whatever broken twigs are there, whatever thorns are there, lest Rama may get hurt because of those thorns. She used to collect all the tastiest berries and fruits from that region, and she used to collect and save them for that day, because Rama may come that day. She never knows. She also used to taste those berries by herself and used to keep it aside, whichever is the sweetest and whichever is sour, whichever is bitter. She also used to smoothen the sharp stones, Swami mentions in his discourse. Wherever there are sharp stones, she used to smoothen them relentlessly, so that when Mother Sita comes, her tender souls are not hurt because of them. Isn't this true devotion? If this is not true devotion, what else is? So with that kind of devotion, while cleaning the surroundings and while serving the poor among her hermitage, she cleaned also her heart, her hridaya. This process of cleaning of her hridaya became Ramamayam. Swami mentions her hridayam became Rama hridaya from normal hridaya that we all have. We all know what great response Rama has given to her. After she served him to her complete satisfaction, she was granted liberation, as we all know. From this incident, what I saw is that a devotee must have the first thing as the compassionate heart and follow the 5 human values, and also relentlessly pray for his darshan, for his sparshan, and for his sambhashan while doing the service of the needy. In the year 1996, June 22nd, Swami started his discourse singing, Vetukuchunnanu, Nenu vetukuchuneyunnanu. Vetukuchunti naadu nedu nijamanava dharma paruni. Vetukuchunti naadu nedu nijamanava dharma paruni. Kodavaledu narulaku nannూరు కోట్లున్నారు. నరుని రూపములే జూచితి నిజ రూపము కాంచనైతి. Nija Rupamu Kanchanaiti, which means, Swami says, I am searching and searching and searching relentlessly, right from then to now, referring to the oldest yuga in this age, which is Krita Yuga to Kali Yuga. I am searching and searching relentlessly, right from then to now, from Krita Yuga to Kali Yuga. For whom is he searching? He says, for a true human who is righteous in nature. Nijamanava dharma paruni. For a true human who is righteous in nature. He continues to say, there is no dearth of humans. There are indeed hundreds of crores of people on this earth donning human forms. But, he says, I cannot find as many with true human nature. Naruni rupamule juchiti, nija rupamu kanchanaiti. Nija rupamu kanchanaiti. And Shabari is one such devotee whom Lord himself has called devotee. We need to step back here and understand, we all call ourselves devotees of Swami. How true is that? How false is that? We are not here to judge whether we are devotees or not. Each of us can question ourselves, how much of a devotee am I? Have I reached the stage of Shabari? Right? You can pick up any character in Ramayana and compare yourself. Because it is also said Ramayana is just the mirror for all the devotees, for them to compare and grow towards Rama. The only person who can give us the title of devotee is Swami himself. And we know now what it takes to be Swami's devotee from the example of Shabari. Every character in Ramayana exemplifies this devotion and faith in Rama. And lifetimes would not be enough to understand and extol these tales in Ramayana. So who is this Rama? Why should we chant his name? What are the benefits of chanting Rama's name? Rama literally means one who pleases. Swami says in Ramakatharasavahini, while all of us please ourselves with the external senses, with the external pleasures, the worldly pleasures, nothing pleases the caged, individualized self, which is within each of us, the jiva. Nothing else pleases it other than free universal self, which is Atma Rama, the ever expansive, ever present and omnipresent. That Atma Rama represents the Rama Tattva in each of us. Mother Sita signifies the mind, which is Prakriti. And brother Lakshmana signifies the Buddhi. Bhakta Potana beautifully explains, as he starts penning the greatest love story ever, the Bhagavata, as we all heard, the story, the love story between Bhagavan and Bhakta. He says, Palikedidi Bhagavatamata, Palikenchedivadu Ramabhadrundata, Ne Palikina Bhavaharamu Agunata, Palikeda Ve Rundugada Palukaganela. Which means, in short, when the Bhavaharana happens by just chanting the name of Rama, why should I even take refuge in any other name or form? So let me take the refuge of chanting his name alone. That is the essence of starting Bhagavata by Bhakta Potana. Now that we understood what happens by chanting Ramanama, which is Bhavaharana. Bhavaharana in English, loosely translated, it is deliverance from the cycle of birth and death. And hence it got the name Taraka Nama, something which takes you across the sea of life and death. I have 6 more minutes, so I'll try to cover a few more topics here. One is, what is the easiest takeaway that Swami has told during his discourses? So I was trying to parse through the discourses which Swami has told, and I found this gem of a poem where Swami tells, Alpa jiviki manchi sankalpamunna, goppa gaurava adaramu gaikona galandu, uduta buduta ramuni prema nundala lede, inta kannanu vereddi eruka paratu. irrespective of your size, of your species, caste, creed, language, region, country, or gender, if you have and nourish manchi sankalpa, Swami tells, if you have one manchi sankalpa, which is good thought, and you act upon it immediately without a second thought, that will gain the love of Rama, love of Sai Rama. And he gives the example in this poem, Uduta Buduta, which is the tiny squirrel which has helped in the mighty ocean's building of Rama Setu. If squirrel would have thought that I am so tiny, do I even add to whatever they're doing? Those mighty warriors or the monkeys or the human beings which are so bigger than me. If it would have thought that and stepped back, it wouldn't have got that love of Rama. This is the greatest lesson that Swami told that we should all start right away, having manchi sankalpa, having good thought. And once we get good thought, act upon it immediately with Trikarna Shuddhi. It was year 2000. I was in my 8th grade and was part of a huge entourage that from the city called Vishakhapatnam, from where I hail from. So Swami granted us an opportunity to stage a drama entitled Tvameva Sharanam Mama in the year 2000 for his birthday on November 15th. So to cut the story short, we got permission to stage the drama, and the drama was supposed to be staged in Purnachandra Auditorium. I'm sure most of you know that place. And in 2000s, Swami used to reside in Purnachandra Auditorium itself. His residence used to be behind Purnachandra Auditorium. Immediately after darshan, he used to come to Purnachandra Auditorium, and the drama boys and girls used to sit behind in the backstage. I was playing a small role of Rama at that point of time. If you see that picture there, if you see one person who is in blue, that was me in 2000. Me and Lakshmana, I was painted in blue in Neelamega Varna, and Lakshmana was in the normal skin color, and we both were having bow and arrow with us, and we were seated on chairs. Rest of them were sitting on the ground. Lest our props may fall down, we were asked to sit on chairs. So we were sitting in the backstage of Purnachandra Auditorium, and we could see Swami eating there his chapati after his darshan. He was telling the devotee accompanying him, Tondarga vellali, pillalu wait chestunnaru, which means we have to eat fast and go. Students are waiting for us for performing the drama. We could hear all that. As he finished his snack quickly and he started walking towards us, he started looking at each of us, making jokes, making fun with some of them, making some omniscient comments which made sense to that particular person only. As he arrived towards to my place where I was sitting, he looked at me and asked, "Nuvu Lakshmanadiva?" Everybody started laughing because I was painted in blue, which is obviously Rama, and the person sitting next in that entire phase. However, when I was preparing for this talk, the insight that I gained through this made it more significant to me. I would like to quickly share what I learned from that incident. Doesn't Swami know that the one who's painted in blue is Rama and the other one is Lakshmana? Doesn't he know that color? In fact, he has seen all our rehearsals as well. Yet, he asked that question, "Are you Lakshmana?" And will Swami waste even a word from his mouth? Thinking deeper into this particular question that Swami asked, I felt this question is relevant to each of us. Lakshmana represents the buddhi. Going back to the incident when Swami mentioned the 5 favorite devotees in Kodaikanal to the boys, one of the boys asked Swami, Swami, what about Lakshmana? He was there behind you every step during the exile. Why didn't you mention him? Swami answered that with a smile, saying, what is my question, Ra? I asked you all, who is the nearest and dearest devotee of mine? When I say nearest and dearest devotee, they are separate from me. Lakshmana is my very breath. Lakshmana is the Jiva and I am Atma Rama. He is my reflection. Hence, Lakshmana is not separate from me. And that's why Lakshmana did not make to that list, because he is one with me. I got my answer. I felt that every step we take, are we having our own will or are we following Rama's footsteps? It is a question for each of us to ponder upon while we celebrate this Sri Ram Navami. Are we real devotees? Are we Lakshmanas? Are we Shabaris? Are we the true devotees of Satya Sai Baba? Thank you for patient listening. Jai Sai Ram.
प्रिय गणया विश्वाधारा शुभानना
हे शिवनंदन गजानना हे 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 विश्वाधारा शुभानना जय
जय गणनाथ देवा
श्री रामचंद्र जय रामचंद्र
श्री रामचंद्र जय रामचंद्र
श्री रामचंद्र जय रामचंद्र
श्री रामचंद्र जय रामचंद्र
रघुवीर रणतीर रघुकुल राम
रघुवीर रणधीर रघुकुल राम
रघुवीर रणतीर रघुकुल राम
रघुवीर रणधीर रघुकुल राम
श्री रामचंद्र जय रामचंद्र
श्री रामचंद्र जय रामचंद्र
दशरथ नंदन दयाभिराम
दशरथ नंदन दयाभिराम
दशरथ नंदन दयाभिराम
दशरथ नंदन दयाभिराम
दानव पंचन कोदंड राम
दानव पंचन कोदंड राम
दानव पंचन कोदंड राम
दानव पंचन कोदंड राम
कल्याण राम गमनीय राम
कल्याण राम कमनीय राम
कल्याण राम गमनीय राम
कल्याण राम कमनीय राम
रघुवीर रणतीर रघुकुल राम
रघुवीर रणधीर रघुकुल राम
रघुवीर रणतीर रघुकुल राम
रघुवीर रणधीर रघुकुल राम
श्री रामचंद्र जय रामचंद्र
श्री रामचंद्र जय रामचंद्र
रघुवीर रणतीर रघुकुल राम
रघुवीर रणधीर रघुकुल राम
श्री रामचंद्र जय रामचंद्र
श्री रामचंद्र जय रामचंद्र
दशरथ नंदन दयाभिराम
दशरथ नंदन दयाभिराम
दानव पंचन कोदंड राम
दानव पंचन कोदंड राम
कल्याण राम गमनीय राम
कल्याण राम कमनीय राम
रघुवीर रणतीर रघुकुल राम
रघुवीर रणधीर रघुकुल राम
रघुवीर रणतीर रघुकुल राम
रघुवीर रणधीर रघुकुल राम
श्री रामचंद्र जय रामचंद्र
रघुपते
राजारामचन्द्रात्मज सुन्दर रामा
दशरथ नन्दन राजा राम कौसल्यात्मज सुन्दर रामा
दशरथ नन्दन राजा राम कौसल्यात्मज सुन्दर रामा
राम राम जय राजा राम राघव मोहन मेघ श्यामा
राम राम जय राजा राम राघव मोहन मेघ श्यामा
राम राम जय राजा राम राघव मोहन मेघ श्यामा
राम राम जय राजा राम राघव मोहन मेघ श्यामा
जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय राम राम राजा राम
पतित पावन सीतापते राम
पतित पावन सीतापते राम
पतित पावन सीतापते राम
पतित पावन सीतापते राम
रघुपते राघवा राजा राम
रघुपते राघवा राजा राम
ओ राजा राम
ओ राजा राम
ओ साई राम
ओ साई राम
रघुपते राघवा
रघुपते राघवा
दशरथ नंदन राजा राम कौसल्यात्मज सुंदर राम
दशरथ नंदन राजा राम कौशल्यात्मज सुंदर राम
राम राम जय राजा राम राघव मोहन मेघ श्यामा
राम राम जय राजा राम राघव मोहन मेघ श्यामा
जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय राम
जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम राम राजा राम
जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम राम राजा राम
पतित पावन सीतापते राम
पतित पावन सीतापते राम
पतित पावन सीतापते राम
पतित पावन सीतापते राम
रघुपते
राघवा
दशरथ नंदन श्री रामचंद्र धम संरक्षक
दशरथ नंदन श्री रामचंद्र जन्म संरक्षक
दशरथ नंदन श्री रामचंद्र धम संरक्षक
दशरथ नंदन श्री रामचंद्र जन्म संरक्षक
देवकी नंदन मुदनीधर आनंददायक
देवकी नंदन मुरलीधरा आनंददायक
देवकी नंदन मुरलीधर आनंददायक
देवकी नंदन मुरलीधरा आनंददायक
ईश्वराम्ब सुख श्री सत्य साई प्रेमामृत भगवान
ईश्वराम्ब सुत श्री सत्य साई प्रेमामृत भगवान
ईश्वराम्ब सुख श्री सत्य साई प्रेमामृत भगवान
ईश्वराम्ब सुत श्री सत्य साई प्रेमामृत भगवान
जय 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 शिव शक्ति स्वरूप मंगलदायक नाम
जय 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 शिव शक्ति स्वरूपा मंगलदायक नाम
जय 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 शिव शक्ति स्वरूप मंगलदायक नाम
जय 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 शिव शक्ति स्वरूपा मंगलदायक नाम
दशरथ नंदन श्री रामचंद्र धर्म संरक्षक राम
दशरथ नंदन श्री रामचंद्र धर्म संरक्षक
देवकी नंदन मुरलीधरा आनंददायक श्याम
देवकी नंदन मुरलीधरा आनंददायक श्याम
ईश्वराम्ब सुख श्री सत्य साई प्रेमामृत भगवान
ईश्वराम्ब सुत श्री सत्य साई प्रेमानंद भगवान
जय 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 शिव शक्ति स्वरूप मंगलदायक नाम
जय 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 शिव शक्ति स्वरूपा मंगलदायक नाम
जय 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 शिव शक्ति स्वरूप मंगलदायक नाम
जय 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 शिव शक्ति स्वरूपा मंगलदायक नाम
दशरथ नंदन राम
दशरथ नंदन राम
आनंददायक श्याम
आनंददायक श्याम
प्रेमामृत भगवान
प्रेमानंद भगवान
बोलो जय 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 साई राम
बोलो जय 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 साई राम
दशरथ नंदन राम
दशरथ नंदन राम
आनंददायक श्याम
आनंददायक श्याम
प्रेमामृत भगवान
प्रेमानंद भगवान
बोलो जय 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 साई राम
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 दशरथ नंदन श्री रामचंद्र धर्म संरक्षक राम
जय जय हनुमान जय हनुमान
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 मारुति राया जय हनुमान
मारुति राजा जय हनुमान
मारुति राया जय हनुमान
मारुति राजा जय हनुमान
महानुभावा जय हनुमान
महानुभावा जय हनुमान
महानुभावा जय हनुमान
महानुभावा जय हनुमान
वायु कुमारा जय हनुमान
वायु कुमारा जय हनुमान
वानर वीरा जय हनुमान
वानर वीरा जय हनुमान
अंजनी पुत्रा जय हनुमान
अंजनी पुत्रा जय हनुमान
अति बलवंता जय हनुमान
बलवंता जय हनुमान
श्री राम दूता जय हनुमान
श्री राम दूता जय हनुमान
श्री राम भक्ता 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 जय हनुमान
जय जय हनुमान 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 जय हनुमान
मारुति राया जय हनुमान
तेरा जय हनुमान
महानुभावा जय हनुमान
महानुभावा जय हनुमान
वायुकुमारा जय हनुमान
वायुकुमारा जय हनुमान
वानरवीरा जय हनुमान
वानरवीरा जय हनुमान
अंजनी पुत्रा जय हनुमान
अंजनी पुत्रा जय हनुमान
अति बलवंता जय हनुमान
अति बलवंता जय हनुमान
श्री राम दूता जय हनुमान
श्री रामदूता जय हनुमान
श्री राम भक्ता 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 जय हनुमान
जय जय हनुमान जय
हनुमान
पिबरे रामरसं रसने पिबरे रामरसं पिबरे रामरसं रसने पिबरे रामरसं पिबरे रामरसं रसने पिबरे रामरसं पिबरे जनन मरण भय शोक विदूरं जनन मरण भय शोक विदूरं जनन मरण भय शोक विदूरं शोक विदूरं सकल शास्त्र निगमागम सारं सकल शास्त्र निगमागम सारं सकल शास्त्र निगमागम सारं सकल शास्त्र निगमागम सारं पिबरे रामरसं
जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्त जना संरक्षक पति महेश्वरा ओम जय जगदीश हरे शशिवदना शीतला सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आश्रित कल्पलतिका आश्रित कल्पलतिका आपद्बान्धवा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे माता पिता गुरु ಮರಿಯಂತೆಯು ನೀವೇ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಮರಿಯಂತೆಯು ನೀವೇ ನಾಥ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಜಗನ್ನಾಥ ನಾಗೇಂದ್ರ ಶಯನ ಓಂ ಜೈ ಜಗದೀಶ ಹರೇ ಓಂಕಾರ ರೂಪ ಸಾಯಿ ಮಹಾದೇವ ಸತ್ಯ ಸಾಯಿ ಮಹಾದೇವ ಮಂಗಳ ಆರತಿ ಅಂದುಕೋ ಮಂಗಳ ಆರತಿ ಅಂದುಕೋ ಮಂಧರ ಗಿರಿಧಾರಿ ಓಂ ಜೈ ಜಗದೀಶ ಹರೇ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ 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 ಓಂ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಜೈ ಸದ್ಗುರುದೇವ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ 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 ಓಂ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಜೈ ಸದ್ಗುರುದೇವ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ 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 ಓಂ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಜೈ ಸದ್ಗುರುದೇವ ಓಂ ಶಾಂತಿ 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 ಸಮಸ್ತ ಲೋಕ ಸುಖಿನೋ ಭವಂತು ಸಮಸ್ತ ಲೋಕ ಸುಖಿನೋ ಭವಂತು ಸಮಸ್ತ ಲೋಕ ಸುಖಿನೋ ಭವಂತು ಓಂ ಶಾಂತಿ ಶಾಂತಿ शांति जय भोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय
साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात् ॐ